Welcome, guys. We are introducing my new time series package. It's my first ever Python package. It's called Pytimetk. I do have some special guests with me. I'll introduce these guys here in a minute. We got Snowflake in the house. Woo! And we're going to be talking a little bit about quant science. I got my compadre here, Jason from PyQuant News, and then myself from business science. All right, so let's dive into it, guys. First things first, we got an agenda for you guys. So this is basically how we're going to structure this. I'm going to do some introductions. I'm going to discuss why you should listen to us. And I'm going to introduce my friends here from Snowflake, along with Jason and myself. The next thing we're going to cover, and this will be me, I'm going to talk about why Pytimetk. We're going to talk about why it's easier, faster, and more fun. And I'm going to give you some code examples. And then the next thing, I'm going to kick it over to my friends at Snowflake, and they're going to cover a financial analysis at scale. And this is going to be their Pytimetk demo. They're going to use the software, and they're going to show us how you can scale it up. And then fourth thing, Jason and I are going to close things down with the future of time series, what we're growing, what we've been working on, and what you have in store for you over the next 6 months, 12 months, and into the future. And then finally, guys, everybody today gets a free gift. Is that all right? Do you guys care if I give you a free gift? Is that cool? What is that free gift? All right, seeing some hearts. So this is a special gift. I don't normally do this. All right. Each of you guys, everybody on this call today, you guys are going to get all the code that we discussed today. All right. Does that sound cool? I'm going to give it to you. I have a GitHub repo that I'm going to give you guys, but you guys have to stick around till the end of the presentation. I'm not going to hand it out before. I'm not going to hand it out after. Stick around. You guys are all going to get all the code that you see today. All right. So let's do some introductions. Before we dive into the presentation, it would be a mistake not to introduce my friends here at Snowflake, and we've got some fabulous people on the call today. So first things first, I want to introduce you guys to Jonathan Regenstein. All right, so Jonathan, he's the head of financial services data science at Snowflake. He's also an author. He's the author of Reproducible Finance, a graduate of Harvard. And Jonathan has previously held positions as head of data quantamental research at Truist Securities, big financial company, executive director, VP of research at Sylvan Road Capital, vice president at JP Morgan, director of financial services practice at Posit, formerly RStudio. Please welcome Jonathan Regenstein. All right. Next up, we've got Simran Khara. So Simran is the machine learning architect at Snowflake, and Simran has started his career at firms including Nomura and UBS Asset Management. His career took an exciting turn when he joined Bayer, and they are the maker of aspirin. So we probably all know them. I know I use some aspirin from time to time. He ascended to leading the North American data science team, overseeing all forecasting and marketing in data science. Okay. And then after that, he joined another small company called Google. And there he was a senior data scientist specializing in the development of their core time series forecasting engine that runs in Google Cloud. Okay. And in his current role, Simran is shaping the future of data and machine learning solutions at Snowflake. So please do me a favor. Let's welcome Simran. All right. Seeing lots of claps. Thanks, guys. Okay. And then we have, please allow me to introduce my personal friend and co-founder of Quant Science, Jason Strimpel. So Jason, he has closely been working with me on an underground project as we've been building the future of quantitative finance education. That is our new company, Quant Science. So in addition, he's the founder of PyQuant News, where he blends educational with algorithmic trading. So education and algorithmic training and quantitative science. He's also the head of startup strategy at Amazon Web Services. And he's previously held positions as head of engineering at Rio Tinto, trading risk manager at JP Morgan, derivatives trader at Trade Group, global head of derivatives market risk development at BP. So let's please give a warm welcome to Jason. All right. Cool. Now, last, I'll introduce myself. My name is Matt Dancho. If you've never met me before, nice to meet you. Pleased to have you on the call today. I'm the founder of Business Science, and I train elite data scientists. In fact, I'd like to introduce you to a few. These are my special students, and these are actually the people behind the package that we're going to be talking about today. So without these people, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now, okay? So this is the core Pytimetk team. Without them, again, this conversation wouldn't be happening. I owe a lot to them. So we've got first Jeff Tackies. He's Senior Data Science Manager at Kraft Heinz, Fortune 500 company. Then we have Justin Kurland. He is Principal Data Scientist at Northwestern Mutual, another Fortune 500 company. We've got Samuel Macedo. He is the ML Engineer at Instituto Federal. Then we have Lucas Aquidishu. He's a Senior Data Analyst at HubSpot. Then we have Plamen Rabadisky. His last name's a mouthful, but we just call him Plamen. He's a data science consultant. And then we have Alex Riggio. So Alex is a data science and analytics student at Georgia Tech. So what's the common thread between all of these elite data scientists that we're talking about today right here? These are my students, okay? In fact, I'm just shy of training 20,000 students over the past 4 years. And my students are all over the world. Some are in Canada, some are in the Netherlands, some are in New Jersey, and well, this guy's somewhere in the USA. And I love getting to meet them. But most importantly, I love getting them careers. And most of my students work actually in big companies. Fortune 500 companies employ my students. Okay. So that's what brings us here today. We're going to help you grow your career. And that starts with data science education. So today we're talking about my first and our first Python package, Pytimetk. Okay. So we're going to start with part one of this. There's 3 parts to this training today. The first part I'll be going over. The second part, my friends at Snowflake will be going over. I'll kick it to them. And then the last part, me and Jason will wrap up with you guys with the roadmap for the future. So in part one, we've got easy, fast, fun, Pytimetk. So what I want to cover is why 3 reasons that you should not use Pandas for time series. Okay. So 3 things that we're going to cover in this section. Number 1, the core operations in Pandas are very complicated. In fact, they're too complicated. I'm going to discuss some things we're doing to simplify them. Okay. Second thing, plotting is very code heavy and often ugly. And this isn't really necessarily Pandas' fault. I blame Matplotlib for this. And then the third thing, it's missing some important stuff. So we'll talk about some of that. And so let's get started. First is first, Pandas, complicated. Pytimetk, easy. All right. Here's what I mean by that. Let's take a simple example. In time series, we like to do a lot of aggregations. So by different frequencies, like weekly, monthly, and so on. So let's just take an aggregation by week. Say we have a data set that looks like this. Okay. So you can see we've got a site name here. We've got about 100,000 rows. And they all have this timestamp, and they have some number of website visits and whether or not they booked on that visit. Okay. So we might want to aggregate that. We might want to see something like this, where we've got the site name, by week, and we have the total number of visits, the count of visits. So sometimes they, in each website visit, they might have multiple web pages that they hit, whether or not they booked by week, and so on. Okay. So simple aggregation, right? Okay, so this is what you would have to do in Pandas. And this is what we saw when we were developing Pytimetk. We said to ourselves, there's a lot of extra stuff that we've got going on. So if you just kind of go through and count, we've got a set index. So we're setting index to date time. We're going to then do a group by, and then we're going to add on another thing to resample it, by some sort of frequency. And then, oh, by the way, we're going to do an ag. And then inside of this ag, we actually have a nice little fun little for loop in here as well to add complexity even more, right? So remember, guys, this is what we want. So 4 lines of code, kind of got a for loop in there. Well, this is what we get when we run that code, okay? And you're going to see something that's interesting here, where we've got the core data in here, but we've got these weird things going on with indexes, columns, and what ends up happening is we get this multi-index. And remember, guys, this is what we want, right? So we actually have to add on more lines of code just to get this back into that original shape. All right. So one of the things that we saw here is that this is just a lot of code. And this one's actually not that bad. I mean, it's only like, what, 6 lines of code here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, we're going out of order. Anytime you see a red one, that's where we've got a for loop. So that's like twice as bad. You know, I think that data scientists, us writing for loops slows us down big time. Okay. So we want to try and eliminate for loops. We want to try and minimize the amount of code that we have to write in order to be able to experiment fast. Okay. So let's just count up what we've got here. So we've got 6 things here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 6. Okay, so I said 5 lines of code. It's actually 6 lines of code. 2 for loops. We've got 1 set index, 1 reset index. And then we have to do like some crazy stuff just to get the columns back to the right format. Okay. All right. Come on, man. That's a lot of code. So let me introduce you to our first function today, TK summarize by time. So you can see here, we're starting off with the same data set here. The site name, date, time, count is booking. What we're going to do is we're going to group by site name, because again, that's what we want to summarize by. But then we're going to do this, use this function called summarize by time, and we're going to just tell it which is the date column, which are the value columns that we want to summarize. We're going to give it the frequency, and then we're just going to simply give it the functions that we want to apply the summarization to each of these columns. Okay. No loops, no nothing. Here's what Pytk does. So we've reduced this from 5. It's actually 6. I have a problem. Sometimes I have trouble counting. Down to 2 lines of code. We've also got 0 for loops. We've got 0 set index. We've got 0 reset index. And we get exactly what we want. Okay. So in essence, what I'm talking about here is this is the philosophy, if you will, of Pytk. Give you the functions that you need to get the data that you want as fast as possible. All right. It's as simple as that. That's all we want to do here is just give you guys some simple tools to help you be more efficient. Oh, and by the way, guys, coming in Pytk version 2, we actually have this handy little engine argument. So we're in the process of upgrading a lot of our functions to polars. But the nice thing is you don't actually have to know how to use polars, but all you have to do is just switch this parameter, and it becomes 13.4 times faster for this specific example. Okay. All right. So you can see 671 milliseconds per loop versus 50 seconds per loop. And that's with 100,000 rows. So you can imagine, you know, if you're dealing with millions or tens of millions, it gets much, much faster. All right. Second thing, Pandas and Matplotlib. Ugly, code heavy, Pytk. Nice. And it's nice looking, and it's light. It's not very heavy. Okay. So let's take a look. If you want to use minimal code, Pandas actually has this integration with Matplotlib. The problem is that when you use it, it's pretty ugly. It's kind of like Golem, right? You got to do a lot, put a lot of makeup on to make that look good, right? So, you know, you go the other route. Okay, so say I want to make this look really good. Say I want to analyze lots of groups at once. And this is all the code that I have to write here in order to be able to do that. Okay, so you got 1, 2 lines of code, 3 lines of code, and we're doing ceiling division. Okay, so you have to do lots of math too. And then you got fig and axes that you're going to update. And you got, you know, some Ravel method that you're going to use, and then you're going to do a for loop. So this is your first for loop, and remember, red means twice as bad, right? And then we're doing, you know, more lines of code, more lines of code, more lines of code, and then another for loop, and then more lines of code, and then, you know, some tight layout and plot show. And here's what you get. Okay, so it actually doesn't look that bad, but it's 16 lines of code, 2 for loops, and a bunch of customizations that we're having to run through. And you get this non-interactive plot. So this is just a static plot. Okay. Well, you know, we saw this and we're like, why? Why the heck are we doing this? Wouldn't it be easier if we just had one function and it really just kind of did the things that you needed it to do? You know, made it look professional right off the bat, gave you, you know, a couple of options so you could customize it, but, you know, those options, it wasn't, you know, overly complicated. So here's what we're talking about. We've got this plot time series function. We're going to do a group by site name. So all the PyTimeTK functions are group aware. They know that you've grouped on a data frame. And then what that does is this thing called faceting. I'll explain what that means here in a second. But you just give it the date column, the value column that you want to analyze, and then the number of faceting columns, and then you can adjust the width to make it a little bit bigger. And then the last parameter here, very important. Basically, do you want interactive or do you want static? Okay, so Plotly will give you an interactive plot. And but if you put plot9 or Matplotlib in here, it'll give you a static plot. So here's what that looks like. This is with engine Plotly. And you see you got also a smoother in here. We'll give you that for free. Helps you reduce the noise in your time series. And on top of that, you get all of this without writing any loops, without having to do anything, right? And if you want it in static, so non-interactive mode, just put plot9 in here or Matplotlib, okay? So not bad. So just to just kind of recap here, we have now reduced that code down from 16 lines to 2 lines of code, just group by and then plot time series. 0 for loops from two for loops, and 0 extra customizations. Everything we had to do was right here in the function, all the key parameters, okay? All right, so moving right along here, the third thing that I want to cover with you. Pandas, it's trying to do a lot, and it's a general framework, and I appreciate that because it really gives us a good foundation for things. But there's a lot of stuff, when it's a general framework versus a specific framework for time series and finance, okay? So the nice thing is that Pandas, while it's missing some important stuff, that's where TimeTK is going to come into play, all right? So PyTimeTK, everything you need for time series. All right. So I'm actually going to give you, I want to give you guys some links here, and I'm going to copy this link into the chat here. I'm actually going to give you the link to the documentation right now. So do me a favor, guys. I have, right now, I'm giving you guys the link to the documentation, and I want to take just a minute and also show you the GitHub repo as well. The reason I'm showing you the GitHub repo as well is because if you guys can spare me 2 seconds, just give me a star right now, because this is something that's really important to us. It takes 2 seconds. If you like what you see so far, do us a favor, show me you appreciate it by giving us a GitHub star. That means a lot, and it takes 2 seconds of effort, okay? The other link that I gave you guys, this is the PyTimeTK documentation. So I want to show you some really quick things. We've got a quick getting started, so how to install it, how to do the quick start. We've got some beginner guides that talk even in more detail than what I'm able to present today on things like data visualization, the philosophy and PyTimeTK basics, working with Pandas frequencies and PyTimeTK and so on. And then we have some new applied tutorials as well. So we've got sales analysis, finance analysis, demand forecasting, and then these two are coming soon, anomaly detection and clustering. Okay, so I wanted to point you to those. The nice thing about it is it actually, if you go over here to the API reference, so that's what this is, we've really put a lot of emphasis on the documentation. We want to give you guys good documentation so you can click on links and you can see lots of examples of these, of how they work. You can see how to do with group time series, how to do, if you don't want to have multiple facets all in one plot, how to get static plots, how to do faceted static plots, and so on, okay? So all of this stuff is right here on the API reference. That's just this link right here. So in there, we've got functions for visualization, so plotting, and also what's called data wrangling. So summarize by time we talked about, but there's some other good ones. Apply by time, pad by time, and future frame, which are going to be very important if you're doing time series analysis and forecasting, okay? We also have a new function coming in version 2. I will talk about that here in a second, called anomalize. And if you're a fan of my R package, anomalize, this is basically taking that and integrating that into PyTimeTK. We also have adding features. So, and I believe Jonathan and Simran, you guys are going to be talking a little bit about some of this stuff for finance. But what augmentation is, if you've never heard that, that's adding features at scale to a time series. So if you want to add time series calendar features, that you would use this function. If you want to add lags at scale for lots of time series groups, you're going to use this function. Same thing for rolling features, expanding features, and more. Okay, and then we have some summaries. We have a new finance module we'll talk about a little bit towards the end. And we have a lot more stuff. So I encourage you guys to explore that in your leisure. And then real quick, what's coming next? So we are getting ready to release Pytimetk 02. So what was cool was in version 1, you know, we came out of we came right out of the gate hitting, you know, for the fence. We have the awesome plot time series function. We had 3 wrangling functions and 5 augmenters. And then we give you 12 data sets plus a bunch of helper functions in there. But that was just the basic version. Okay. So in version 2, it's way better. All right. So we've got anomalize. So you can see here what we're doing is grouping by ID, and then for every group in your time series, we're going to show you the anomalies, and you're going to be able to have awesome plots that look like this, that show you the bands of what's acceptable region, and then what's outside of the acceptable region is going to get some dots. The next thing, speed boost. So you already saw a little bit of this in the beginning, but you know, what we've experienced is polars tends to be a lot faster if you're running on your local machine. So in most cases, it's 3x to 30x faster than pandas. And the best part is you don't need to learn polars. All you have to do is you have to learn how to put this engine parameter in and switch it from pandas to polars for any of the functions that, you know, have this engine. All right, very easy. More functions. These are some of the functions that we're working on for version 2, and progress bars too, and more optimizations and parallel processing. So we're trying to really go for scale here. Give you guys all the tools you need to be able to scale your data science up. All right, that is the Dime tour. Now I want to kick it over to my friends here at Snowflake, Jonathan and Simran. Who's ready for a demo? Put a thumbs up in the chat if you guys are ready to see them show you how to do this on some finance data and give you a tour of Snowflake. Does that sound good? All right, seeing some thumbs up. Cool, here we go. I'm going to kick it over to you guys, and let's do this. Let me stop my share. All right. Jonathan, you might just need to take control of the
So I'm sharing now. Can you see my screen?
Here, let me turn
Not
mine
yet,
off.
Jonathan.
Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, try it one more time. Oh, I gotta hit stop share. Sorry.
Okay.
Is that better?
I'm gonna reshare.
I can see it now.
Yep.
Good. Okay. All right. Awesome. Sweet. Thank you, Matt. Thank you everyone for coming. If you've learned nothing else from Matt, hopefully it's that enthusiasm is contagious about time series. And I can tell you that I'm fortunate enough to sometimes hang out with Matt, get coffee, and we talk about time series analysis when we are just sitting around hanging out. So it definitely shows through. So thanks everyone for coming. Like Matt said, I'm Jonathan Regenstein. I am our head of financial services data science at Snowflake. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we're starting to use Pytimetk, which is a really new package, but we're already starting to use it for actually a real world use case that we're trying to spin up for one of our customers right now. Before I do that, though, I'll just talk a little bit about Snowflake in general, because I know not everyone is following everything I'm posting on LinkedIn and keeping up with Snowflake. So Snowflake, if you do know it, you might know it more as kind of a data warehousing company. That's definitely what we've been known for the last 10 years. A place to store your data, a place to run compute, SQL-based compute on your data. That all changed about a year ago. We came out with a framework called Snowpark, which is kind of a Python API that we developed, and we're going to see how that works. We're going to see how that enables us to use Pytimetk inside Snowflake, which was not possible, a couple of years ago. But basically what we're building at Snowflake right now is the ability to run end-to-end machine learning with Python, all pushed down into the Snowflake cloud. So that's not only something really awesome and really fun and really exciting, because you can scale your analysis and run things like machine learning and forecasting really, really fast and on a distributed, scalable cloud. And Simran's going to show you all exactly how to do that. It's also just a pretty prominent trend in the financial services industry right now, which is kind of how I came to be working at Snowflake. It was a trend that I thought was going to continue and grow. And when I say it's a trend in financial services, it's definitely something I've observed is that things that we used to run on our desktops maybe 2 or 3 years ago, everything's being run on the cloud now. So we're using our desktops still definitely as very valuable tools. We do a lot of our coding there, a lot of our sandboxing there. But when it's time to put something, I'm going to say, quote unquote, into production, which means something different for data science teams and like engineering teams. But when I say put something into production, I mean when it's time for other people to use our code who are not data scientists. Maybe they want to use the results of our models. Maybe they want to see a dashboard. Maybe we want to share it with another data science team. When that starts to happen, a lot of our code, at least in my experience, starts to migrate up to the cloud. So that's why it's not only super exciting that you can do all this stuff, but if y'all are kind of starting to poke around the financial services industry, it's something you want to get into. Being familiar and comfortable and hopefully excited about moving a lot of your code and your algorithms up to the cloud is definitely something that's going to come invaluable. So a couple more things around that. We're going to be using some publicly available data for this demo. It's macroeconomic data that's available on FRED, of course, but it's also available on Snowflake's data marketplace. So this is obviously for a demo, so you don't need to go to our data marketplace to pull down data from FRED. You can if you want. Again, though, this is definitely a trend in the financial services industry that data is being pulled off of, in particular, the Snowflake marketplace is becoming really, really prominent, but there are other cloud-based marketplaces out there. Point being that, for my money, if I had to bet, the years of kind of data being FTP'd over to data science teams, even pushed to like on-prem SQL servers. I'm not going to say it's going away, but it's definitely becoming less prominent. And I mean, we're hearing big banks, big hedge funds, big asset managers telling their data vendors, put your data on the Snowflake cloud. So again, getting comfortable with pulling data off of a cloud and using data in the clouds. I mean, maybe you don't even need to pull it down to your desktop. All things that are going to serve you well as you start to move into industry. So again, for those who haven't worked with Snowflake before, this is what the interface looks like. So when I'm here on, this is our marketplace. It's a Snowflake marketplace up here. If I want to use one of these data sets, I can either click get data, or I have to ask the vendor to share it with me. But once they do that, it shows up in my Snowflake account. So this is kind of my login to Snowflake. We call this Snow Site. We put the word snow in front of Snow Park for Python, Snow Site for how you interact with our database. So this is kind of what it looks like when all this macroeconomic data has been shared with me. Okay, so that's all kind of set up to make sure that we're all kind of on the same page. How does Pytimetk come into this? All right, so I'm gonna toggle away from Snowflake. I'm gonna open up VS Code. So this is just a VS Code running on my desktop. I know most people prefer Jupyter. I'm using the Quarto extension because
put a one in chat if you use VS Code right now. I kind of want to know who uses VS Code, and put a 0 if you do not use VS Code. Okay, so I am seeing some ones in here. Okay, now the zeros are coming in too. All right, so don't know how many percentages, but yeah, we got some VS Code lovers.
I will put in a plug for VS Code. I love VS Code. You can still use Jupyter Notebook within VS Code, so it doesn't limit you. What I really like about it is that you can also use something like Quarto, which is a really awesome extension. Feels a lot like R Markdown if there are any recovering or continuing R coders out there who want to stay in the same environment. It also has a really rich extensions ecosystem, which is super cool. It has a Snowflake extension. It has an extension for it has a Docker extension, which you probably have seen in Matt's courses.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. Is just like it's a la carte. You can pick and if you want Docker, you can get that. If you want, there's actually a Python environment manager, which I think is really cool. I just installed that not pretty recently. That's great.
Yeah, I love working on VS Code. If I'm not coding in R in our studio, I'm on VS Code basically. Yep. Even for things like building Docker images. So the cool thing about VS Code is that I just left that Snow site where we're looking directly at Snowflake. But with the Snowflake extension, I can kind of peek into my database all through here. I can see that exact data we were just looking at, all that CyberSyn macroeconomic data we were looking at. So VS Code is just super flexible. So the use case we're going to go over today, and this is based on a real life use case that we're working with the customer right now. We're not going to look at the actual data, but basically we're trying to kind of model a daily financial time series that really has to do with their financial risk exposure, and eventually what we want to do is start forecasting that. We're going to kind of proxy that with daily treasury rates, and I think y'all will see how they kind of map to each other. But I'll explain how Pytimetk is helping us do a lot of the feature engineering that we need to do to run this analysis, and how much smoother it is than having to do it manually. So first thing we need to do though is just like any Python project, we start off by importing our libraries. And here's some special libraries that we import that are built by Snowflake. What these allow us to do is establish that connection back up to the Snowflake cloud. And once we establish that connection, most of the code that we're running is going to be running up in the cloud until I explicitly pull it down onto my desktop. And I'm going to do that to use Pytimetk. And I'll explain why I'm doing that. And then Simran's going to show you all how to do it up in the cloud at scale if I leave enough time, which is looking like I'm not going to do. But I'm going to start going faster. Okay, so that's what we want to do. We want to pull up, we want to kind of access some of that macroeconomic data, run as much of our code up in the cloud as we can. And we're going to pull it down so I can show you all how we're using Pytimetk, because it's been a huge time saver for us. So, import our packages, SKTime and PyCaret, we're not going to use today, but we can do those at a future time. Where are those packages coming from? They're coming from this Anaconda repo, which is a repo that we maintain with Anaconda. So it's a Snowflake Anaconda repo. So when you instantiate a Conda environment from this repo, you kind of get all of these, the ability to just import all these packages. And all of these packages then are available to push down to the Snowflake cloud. Okay, so that's where these packages are coming, or these libraries are coming from. All right, so this is just establishing our connection to Snowflake. So this has like my username and my login. I point to the database that I want to use. In this case, I put it here explicitly. We're gonna kind of point at that CyberSyn macroeconomic data, so we can pull down a few data sets. This is just kind of a helper function that I created so that I can use the same Fred codes that I'm used to using. So I don't have to like do anything different. I just kind of create this function that I can put in. This DGS10 is the same Fred code that you would put if you were using, if you're familiar with TQ-get from TidyQuant or Pandas Reader. That's the same Fred code you would use. So we're going to pull in this 10-year data, which you can see is daily treasury rates going back to 1962. Okay. I'm using this as kind of a proxy for some daily financial exposure that we're trying to model for one of our customers right now. I shouldn't say we're trying to model it. We're helping with the project to model that right now. And then we're also going to pull in some CPI data, which you can really just kind of take as a proxy for monthly macro data that might be related to this time series. And we could obviously pull in a lot more macroeconomic data than just CPI, but this is just really just kind of an example of how we work with this. So I usually do some summarizing by time and some lags, but I'm not going to do that in this case because actually this is a daily financial exposure use case. So we're going to keep this daily, and I'm going to use this augment time series signature that Matt showed. So I have my 10-year data here, and one of the hard things about demoing Pytimetk is that it's so simple that it doesn't look like I'm doing anything all that great. But that's the good part about it. So this is not going to be that impressive. I'm going to call augment time series signature, and then I'll explain why this is so valuable. So when we call this, it's going to create. I now have 31 columns. I don't need all of these though. I'm going to just keep the weekday label, the day of the quarter, the day of the month, and then the year and the actual month itself. So once I create those 31, I'm just going to keep a few columns, and I'll explain why. And this is super, super valuable to us. So when we're trying to model out financial exposure, it could be important to know whether it's Monday or whether it's Friday. A lot of firms open and close financial positions based on the day of the week. It's also important to know how close we are to the end of the quarter. A lot of the options expire at the end of the quarter. That has a big effect on, in this particular use case, the exposure that this particular time series could have, right? So in this case, the day of the week and the day we are in the quarter happens to be very important. The next use case, those might not be the most important. Something else might be more important. The day of the year might be more important in another use case. That's kind of the power of augment time series signature, is that you don't have to keep everything that it creates, but it's a very, very fast and quick way to kind of to grab the features that are important. And that's kind of where, domain experience and talking to business users comes in handy, because in this case, the business users told us, hey, the day of the quarter is really important. The day of the week's really important. And we asked about a bunch of other different possible features, and they said, those really aren't so important, right? So those are the ones we're going to keep here. Then we're going to do the same thing on our CPI data. We're just going to keep the year and the month, and that's going to let us merge this data together, right? So that's going to give us this nicely formatted. Let's run it again. That's going to give us this kind of merged data where we have our daily 10-year rates, where we've created a month, a year, and a quarter, and we can use that to join up any monthly macroeconomic data that we have, in this case CPI, and we can also create date features that are meaningful based on what the business users have told us. In this case, the day of the quarter is really meaningful, the weekday is really meaningful, so that's where we're going to kind of start with this. So again, we started with data from the Snowflake marketplace, and that's kind of where it lives. So once we've done our feature creation, we could call this feature engineering, I think, because we kind of created these features. In this case, weekday label, day of the quarter. We can take that and we can write it back to Snowflake. So this, you'll see, I'm going to write it back to a different place. These are just a database for like bank stock data, just kind of a toy thing. The reason I'm writing it back to a different place is that I pulled this down off the Snowflake marketplace. So I'm not going to write it back up to our marketplace. I'm going to write this into my own private data table. And I can use this sessions.write_panda, right? And then from there, we or anyone from our organization who I give access to this data to can start working out this data, right? So that's kind of the power of Pytimetk. So again, though, I ran a lot of this code locally, right, on my machine, and that really is how we start off most of our projects. Again, we kind of use our desktop almost as a sandbox. If this package were already part of our Anaconda repo, it would be very simple for us to run this in the Snowflake cloud. but it's a brand new package, right? Matt, I don't know when you published it.
I'd love to say that it's, and certainly like if you pin the version, you can use it in production, but we are still changing a lot of stuff. So it probably makes more sense to wait until it's stable.
The
API stabilizes a little bit, which it'll probably happen within the next month or so.
Yeah. So for now, right, this probably wouldn't be a package that's going to find its way onto our Anaconda repo, right? It's brand new. It's still under development. So for that reason, I'm kind of experimenting with it here locally. But there is a way to actually still use it in the Snowflake cloud. It's just not going to be through the Anaconda repo. So with that, I'm kind of teasing this forecasting 10,000 time series in the cloud, right? Which is not something I want to do on my desktop. But I'm gonna hand it over to Simran to kind of talk through the machinery of how we do that. How we scale out to 10,000 time series. We're super lucky to be talking to Simran. He's an absolute expert in time series work. The intro about what he developed for Google Cloud. If you've used any time series work in like Google Colab, you've used Simran's work before. So super impactful stuff. So with that, Simran, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much for that, Jonathan. Fantastic intro.
I will stop sharing.
Yeah. Let me take this on and let me know if you can see my screen when I do share.
Okay, we see it. It looks good.
Looks good. Awesome. Well, so let me start from the very beginning over here. I'm going to be repeating Jonathan's words. You, for starters, import Snowflake libraries. So you can make a connection to Snowflake. The idea is, with the moment you start using Snowflake library and you start writing code in Snowpark, on the right-hand side, I have a Snowflake environment. Basically, I have Snowflake opened up. Whenever you write a piece of query, it runs in Snowflake directly. And it's always distributed at scale. You have all that horsepower of Snowflake available to you. And the best part is the data never leaves Snowflake. So when I write a piece of query on Snowflake using Snowpark, that query is sent to Snowflake. The table is already sitting there. It executes there and does the processing for me. All right, let's get to the meat of it. Here, what I'm going to be showing you is forecasting with 10,000 time series, but to forecast with 10,000 time series, I need to set up for one time series. For that, I'm going to first do some local modeling, that is bring one time series from Snowflake to my local machine. And then if that works fine, I'm going to then run that code in Snowflake distributed across hundreds and hundreds of nodes running in parallel. And I'm going to have a little quiz for you all, but I'm going to ask you how much time it takes, but let's get to it when we get there. So I mentioned what database I want to use. I want to use time series database, which I have sitting in Snowflake. On the right-hand side, you can see it's time series. The schema is synthetic data. So that's the folder in Snowflake. And we have this table called time series 10K. 10K means there are 10,000 different time series in here with various, if I look at what the output looks like, this is any other time series data set which has date column, series ID, and value. So series ID identifies which time series it is, and this is about 4 years worth of data set or 5 years worth of data set for training. Now, I can mention any table I want to use. Here I'm using 10 time series 10K, and I can convert it to Pandas. That brings the data locally. The moment you convert anything to Pandas, it's always local. So as you can see, it's good to visualize what that data set looks like without bringing all 10,000 rows, because 10,000 rows is 77 megabytes and about 21 million rows. You don't want to break your local machine, so let's not bring all of the data locally. If I just do a quick SQL query on this data set, it runs in Snowflake. There's 10,000 time series, and at any point in time, I can load in parallel what this looks like. It ran this SQL query in Snowflake for me in 39 milliseconds. Okay, let's test PyTime locally. I'm going to use Matt's example given on his website, where he uses random forest regressor for forecasting. I start by doing some filtering of the data set. I use these 3 time series, 1001, 1002, 1003 time series IDs, see what it looks like. Then I do some group bys to see the plots, what it looks like. Very interactive plots. Love that you can zoom in as well and see what the different aspects of it looks like. And from there, I'm going to prepare this data set for some manipulate this for having future timestamps. Future timestamps help me in forecasting because then I can have various features or columns right there, and I can do simple regression kind of modeling or use neural networks for that. Over here, I'm adding some lags in this data set, which is super easy with this library. All I need to do is mention what lags I need, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you'll see the first few rows, 5 are missing, and then 6 are missing, and so on and so forth. So right away adds this data set in a tabular format for me. Then I add some rolling lags, which I did here. And as you can see, that's ready. I have value lags and I have rolling lags. And once I have it, I have this data set ready. I can divide into test and predict. So train is train, future means prediction data set. And very simply, all I need to do is random forest regressor, model.fit, and model.predict. I mentioned what columns I want to use. I only want to use these columns for prediction purposes. So I'm doing model.fit, model.predict, and I have all my predictions ready available in the YPRED column. So this is doing it locally with 3 time series. I can very much do the same thing with 1 time series processing, and I put it on in 1 block of the Jupyter Notebook, which takes about 795 milliseconds. And I have my predictions ready. Now, why I wanted to tell you all of this is because this process generally would take me at least hundreds of lines of code, which has taken me less than 25. So thank you so much, Matt. And this would take a lot of time as well, because Pandas would need to each time go through loops, do so many rolling average means calculations, which over here is all happening in 795 milliseconds. But this is one. When you're working for bigger institutions, for example, for demand forecasting, financial forecasting, you won't be forecasting 1 time series. It's now about scale. So for scale, if I was to do forecast 10,000 time series, it's 795 milliseconds, so 0.79 seconds into 10,000 divided by 60 is 131 minutes. So if I run this in a loop, I'll take 131 minutes, plus I cannot run it in a loop because I have to bring 21 million rows on my local machine. So it breaks a lot of things. That's why we need cloud. And to use it in Snowflake, we use something called UDTFs. You can learn more about it online. I won't talk about it at this point, because we want to show you the power of Snowflake. And to learn more, please feel free to reach out to our teams, our Snowflake sales teams, and they would be happy to help you set up this up on your environment. Now, if I do run this, this is what a UDTF code looks like. I just copy paste that code, put it in some boilerplate, and that's ready for Snowflake. And when I run it on 10,000 time series, I'm going to run it right now just for the fun of it. But the idea is that it took me X minutes to run it, but I'm not going to answer that right now. Please, for the fun of it, let's put it in the chat and see how much time you guess it would take to run 10,000 time series.
All right, put it in the chat, guys. We want to see how long do you think it's going to take? Is it going to take 131 minutes or not?
I like the answers. 1 minute, very ambitious. I wish I could do 10 seconds. Fantastic. So 10,000 time series expected to take 130 minutes. It took us 4 minutes. And that is with an extra large warehouse. If I expand it to double extra large, I can go down to 2 minutes. And probably if I go to crazier levels, it keeps reducing more and more. So to save time and so to save money, I was a little stingy with my budget. So I just use extra large. But that's the power of Snowflake. On the right-hand side, whenever I run any query, I ran it just a few minutes ago. This is what the query looks like. It ran it in 4 minutes and 5 seconds, and it used total about 10,000 invocations in the cloud, distributed across hundreds of nodes running in parallel. And all you had to do was just write probably 10 extra lines of code, and Snowflake handles it for you.
Nice. Well, that's awesome, man. Really shows the power and where you can go. So yeah, that's amazing. I really appreciate seeing this example, guys.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much for that, Matt. That was my time.
Okay, Jonathan, did you have anything more you wanted to wrap on before we move to the third section?
That's it. Thank you, Matt. Thank you,
Okay,
Simran.
guys. So yeah, and I just want to emphasize too, like this is the power of combining that technology at scale, Snowflake, with something like PyTimeTK, which traditionally, to make all those features and everything, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lines of code, that saves you time both on the front end when you're developing and when you're researching. And then once you go into production too, that's where tools like Snowflake can help you take over and really scale it up to your, massive time series. So really appreciate that, guys. All right, so now we're going to move on to the third part of this presentation, and I want to cover the future of time series, also the future of what we've been working on, both Jason and I, and we haven't had a chance to speak with Jason yet, so we're going to be talking with him a little bit. So the future of time series, I want to talk a little bit about our roadmap here at Quant Science and Business Science. Quick question for you guys. Our goal is to teach you time series, right? Is that why Business Science and Quant Science exist? That's a question for you guys. Yes, no in the chat. What do you guys think we exist for? Partly. Okay. It is sort of partly. Yeah. Yes and no. Yes and no. Okay. All right. Make money. Yes, but is it who are we making money for? That's the question. All right. So our goal is not to teach you time series. I'll be honest. Our goal is to make you more money. Okay. The key is money. And we want to help you guys in your careers. We want to help you really push yourselves forward and become that next elite data scientist. And you're talking with several elite data scientists right now. We've already heard from Jonathan and Simran, and now we're about to hear from another one, Jason. So there's good news. We've meticulously crafted a product roadmap that's designed to make you more money. Would you guys like to see it? Let me know in chat. Put a 1 in chat or a yes in chat if you guys want to see it. All right. Seeing lots of 1s. Okay. So here's what it looks like, guys. So there's 2 companies that we're going to talk about now. The first one is Quant Science, and I'm actually going to hand it over to Jason. And I did put your infographic too on the next slide as well, just to give you a quick heads up. So you want to give them a high level overview of what Quant Science is all about?
Yeah, I'd love to, man. Thanks for calling me a data scientist. I'm not a data scientist, but I appreciate that. So what is a quant scientist? Yeah, quant. So what is a quant scientist? It's kind of a term that is really emanating out in the industry and becoming quite popular. And it's really 3 things. So the first is the tools that you need to do quantitative analytics, right? So you think of Python, you think of Snowflake, you think of TimeTK. The other piece of this is the math and statistics background. And I'm not saying that you have to be a PhD in math or a PhD in statistics or anything like that. But you do have to understand at least the assumptions that you are or are not violating when you are operating with these models. And it's simple nowadays to run 1 or 2 lines of code, as you've seen with TimeTK, PyTimeTK, and get out all of these really incredible results. But if you don't know how to read and interpret those results, then you get yourself into trouble. And then the third piece where most folks are not talking is really that market intuition. And the market intuition is the third component that really makes the quant scientist. So you've got math and statistics and you've got Python. That really establishes you as a data scientist. If you have the math and statistics background and you have that market experience, then you're kind of this quant analyst. If you've got this Python or tooling experience and you have access to the markets, then it's kind of the skull and crossbones. And that's where people get into trouble because they have access to the markets, they violate assumptions, and they don't know what they're getting themselves into. So the quant scientist is the trifecta here. It is getting the math and stats backgrounds, at least understanding and interpreting the results. It's having the tooling like PyTimeTK, and it's having that market intuition. So Quant Science is a company that brings all 3 of these things together and does very, very deep dive educational content on how to not only use the tools, but how to get the math and stats background and as well get that market intuition to make more money in the markets. And the reason I like PyTimeTK is I always say, so I know I've seen a lot of names that I recognize in the chat, is that algorithmic trading specifically is a game of iteration. It's a game of speed. And I'm not talking about how fast you can get orders into the market. I'm talking about how fast can you try new ideas, how fast can you cycle new ideas and throw them out and they don't work. So if you're running a time series analysis and 10,000 time series, and it takes you 2 hours to do that, you're not iterating, you're not moving fast enough. You need to be able to move very, very quickly. So being able to use very, very fast time series analysis tools and other tools will help you iterate there and get you there quicker.
Okay,
That's
thanks
my
for
3
that.
minutes, Matt.
Perfect, thank you.
Sure thing.
So what Jason described there is basically encompasses what we're trying to build at Quant Science and what we are building. It's the future. We're going to be covering algorithmic trading. We're going to be helping you, whether you want to become a part-time trader, earning 5 figures of extra income, or a 6-figure hedge fund career. If you want to get into actually working for hedge funds and into the finance field. We do have courses that we're launching in 2024, so they're right around the corner here in just a couple of months. And then next, what I'll do is just kind of go through the roadmap, same type of process with business science. So business science actually parallels in quant science. We're doing essentially the same thing, except the only difference is what we're doing is we're developing a business scientist. And what is that business scientist? Well, just like a quant scientist, it's somebody who has that math, machine learning, but also the problem solving, and also the ability to build and deploy yourself. And yourself is key, because that's really where companies get value, and that's what you have to be able to do. You can't rely on the IT department or DevOps or machine learning ops, where their resources are super limited. And that's exactly what companies want right now. They want people to do more with less. Okay. So you being this business scientist, you're able to do all of that stuff. And you can see kind of some of the different roles and where they overlap, this Venn diagram, but at the intersection, that's really what we want to help you become. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that now. We do, for our product roadmap for PyTimetk, we're actually building a finance module. And that's going to house a lot of the financial functions that we're going to be using in the coursework. And it's also going to help you be able to do things more efficiently. So just like what you saw here with getting ready to do a forecast very efficiently, we want to do the same thing for the quant science space. Why? Well, Jason, you know this probably more than anybody. The ability to research and iterate through ideas is a competitive advantage. Okay. Same thing with the business science. We want you to be able to do that very fast, take the emphasis off of all of the, boilerplate code, and really get you doing the things you need to do to be able to generate ideas and get results faster. Okay. So quant science, we're going to be handling the finance stuff over there. Business science, we're going to be handling the time series and the forecasting over here. Okay. So next, I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to become a business scientist for those of you who are interested today to understand more about what that looks like. I do have a question for you guys. Why do companies hire a data scientist? Does anyone know why companies even hire a data scientist? I see Ethan says to make more money, make better decisions, solve business problems. Okay. Do you think it's because of your skills? Is it for your degree? Is it because you can do a bunch of complicated stuff? No, it's not. It's none of that stuff, guys. The reason that companies hire you as a data scientist and that they're willing to spend $150,000 a year or more on you is because of your data science process. So this is what the good data scientists have. And hint, guys, this is maybe if you have that notepad and pen and paper handy, now's the time to take some notes, because I want to show you guys what my data science process actually looks like. Okay. So my data science process, and remember, guys, companies don't spend money on skills. What they want is they will pay money for processes. People who come with a process that can continuously deliver results with that process, that's what they want. So this is my process that I use to do so. Normally starts with data collection. Then step 2 is data exploration, being able to analyze features, test different things out. We saw a lot of that today. Data cleaning, preparing, pre-processing, then moving on to modeling, the forecasting, whatever you're trying to do, being able to test or back test your models, cross-validate your models, and then select the right ones for that particular job. But the key is that what companies actually want out of that process is they want something that is in production. And this is where companies actually gain the value from you when you put things into production. So what does that look like? Well, here's an example of an app that we actually build in one of the courses, and this is what's called a Streamlit app. So if you remember, Snowflake guys were just on here. Snowflake owns Streamlit, and this is an application framework that makes it easy for us to take the hard work, which is that step 1 through 7, and put it into a production grade application. So the problem is that the full process for a complicated problem, only probably 2% of you on the call here can actually do that. Okay. So if you would like to be able to dominate data science with Python and get a 6-figure data science career, then I have a special offer for you that I prepared today. Let me know if you would like to see it. Put a yes in the chat if you want to see what that offer looks like, and I will give you guys more details. All right, I'm seeing lots of yeses, lots of yeses. Okay. So it starts with Python for data science automation. Okay. And this is the first course in the series. And here's what's inside. So in Python for data science automation, you don't need any prerequisites to take this course. You learn how to take a business sales forecasting process and convert it to a Python data science automation. That means you can make reports on demand. It eliminates errors and speed up production from the business process. It's basically the same process I used to use back when I was working full time, and it saved me 20 hours per week at my old job. It allowed me to work on projects at breakneck speed and run circles around my competitors. Okay. And it also is the thing that helped take me from a business analyst in my career all the way up to director of sales and forecasting. So this course, what it does is it starts with the first part, which is a jumpstart. And inside of that jumpstart, what we do is we dive into, you learn how to set up VS Code, which you saw Jonathan using today. It's also what I use for any of my Python work. And even building Pytimetk, we're doing all of that software development in VS Code. So I teach you how to set that up, and then we immediately get you started with analyzing some sales trends. You do a full sales analysis in there. And once you have that, now you know kind of what it takes to make a simple analysis. And then the rest of the course, we teach you how to do a bigger analysis. So you learn how to work with databases, things like reading and writing from SQL databases, making readable, repeatable Python data functions in your own modules, creating your modules, and then you move on to the actual core, which is the data analysis. And for that, we need Pandas. Now, I know I dogged Pandas a little bit in this, but it's actually pretty important to learn how to use it. So what we do is we do a 3-hour deep dive into Pandas, all of the main functionality that you need to be comfortable with and be aware of that's out there. So you learn how to work with Pandas objects, classes, and methods, do common things. I call these 80-20 tools, but it's things like row-wise filtering, the column transformations, the mutations, pivoting data, melting, group by and apply, which is, that kind of 1-2 punch that you're very commonly using. Once you have those core skill sets, then it's all about taking those first initial steps with that data. So you have to be able to clean the data and explore the data. So we work on exploratory data analysis. There's some fantastic tools that really streamline this process. So we teach you some of those. Pandas profiling library is one of those for making quick exploratory reports. And with those reports in hand, we can identify data issues. All right. So once you have that down, next, what we do is we focus on functional programming and time series, which are 2 common skills that honestly have benefited me so much in my career. So for that, you're going to learn how to do things like grouped resampling, outlier detection. You actually learn how to build the summarize by time function that we use in Pytimetk. That's pretty sick. And you basically learn how to take that framework, taking lots of Pandas code and streamlining it down into very few lines of code, which, obviously we have Pytimetk for some of the time series stuff, but there's going to be many more instances where you find your own functions and you have your own ideas, and you're going to be able to implement the same strategies. Next, you actually learn how to do a forecast through this course. We're going to not only just do one forecast, but many forecasts. So you learn some forecasting basics with the skTime library. You learn how to make an ARIMA forecast function, automate the ARIMA forecasting. So this here, you can see we've got many time series that we're doing ARIMA with. You learn how to do visualization then next. And this is actually one of my favorite. It's kind of like how many of you guys use Plot9 or have ever heard of Plot9? Put a 1 in the chat if you've used Plot9 before. Okay, lots of zeros. Yeah, put 0 if you haven't used Plot9. Okay, so Plot9 is, if you come from the R language, which is where I've spent the better part of my career, I love R. R has this fantastic package called ggplot2, and it uses this thing called the grammar of graphics. And what Plot9 does is it really took the best parts of ggplot2, and you can do that now in Python. So I teach you how to use this package. The cool thing is that you can do like some very customized plots and very professional plots very quickly. So you learn things like scatter plots, how to do the line plots, the bar plots and smoothers, horizontal bar plots, histograms, kernel density plots, box plots, faceted plots. So we saw that, a little bit of that in plot time series. And also to do your own theme customization. Now this one looks a little crazy, but the cool thing, one of the things that actually benefited me in my career was coming up with my own custom themes and then using that in my reports, because when I handed those to the CEO or to the executive, and it matched the company theme, they instantly saw my report as like being worth something. Like that wasn't like it, took it to another level. And it actually helped build trust with them. So you learn how to do making custom plotting functions and so on. Now that you know how to create analysis, what I want to do with you is then teach you how to take your forecast and do what like Jonathan and Simran were doing. They were using Snowflake, but what we do is we teach you how to push those results into a SQL database that is accessible to multiple users in your company. Okay. That's very important. So you need to learn how to, so that's why in module 8, you learn the secret to writing SQL database or making SQL databases and writing to them so you can analyze your information and have access company-wide. And then at that point, it's just making products. So the reports, the things that you want to generate on an automated schedule. So with the analysis stored, it's now time to automate that process on a schedule. And in module 9, we work on automating Jupyter notebooks in both HTML and PDF formats, the two most common formats that you're going to end up using. So what we do is we make a Jupyter report template, and then we automate that data analysis. So you write code that'll execute an automation using reporting parameters that you can adjust and you can send through a loop. And what that allows you to do is to make reports that are on demand. So when your users need them, you're able to just generate them with just a few parameters, and it saves you a ton of time. And then the last thing is, so most commonly, and this is the next phase, you want to automate that on a schedule, right? So what's really cool is basically you're making products, while you're, away from your computer. So you could be going to grab a coffee or whatever, and the window task scheduler or the Mac scheduler is running. So we teach you how to do that task scheduling. You need to learn. So most commonly, if you're on Windows, there's the Windows task scheduler. It's the most common tool that Windows users, that's what I used to use to automate my work, teach you how to do that. And then the Mac automator. If you're on Mac, you can use cron, or I teach you how to use this Mac automator software. It's a little bit easier, it's more GUI. But what you need to ask yourself, guys, so this is a pretty cool process that I take you through, and you learn a lot of cool skills, but what can this course actually do for you in your career? All right. Well, here's what it did for Jeremy. So let's meet Jeremy. He's a student of mine, and Jeremy says that I've never felt comfortable in Python until now. Your Python course allowed me to gain the confidence in my everyday work, and I couldn't have done it this quickly without your courses. Thank you for your constant support and incredible material. I've been using Python in production now for 4 months, and I was headhunted for a new role. And starting the first week of December, I'll be a senior data scientist, which is a $150,000 position. So that's what just this course did for him in his career. So guys, today you're getting my Python for Data Science Automation course, a $700 value. Next, you're getting my new course, Python for Machine Learning and APIs. Okay. So inside of that, you discover the skills to complete projects. And these are like the big projects. You learn how to think like a project manager. Here's a project that we cover in Python too. So now that you have your foundations built, what we want to do is we want to put you in a position where you're facing the same projects that you're going to face on the job. And these are big, big, big projects. So we're tackling a $1 million return on investment business project. And I'm going to show you how to make more money from a company's email list in this course. It's very common. So most companies have an email list. I'm going to show you how to make more money out of that. You'll receive hands-on insider knowledge of how a real business works. You'll discover the entire process for completing a project without relying on the IT team to put your project into production. That's a big thing, guys. You want to do more with less. And you gain all of the skills that you need to do this from A to Z in Python. So first, what we do is we start with what's called business understanding. What do we need to understand the business? Well, you need to first be able to cost the problem. That comes in module 1. You avoid the mistake that 87% of data science teams make. You discover how to cost the problem. Honestly, guys, most data science teams, they completely skip this and they wonder why, 6 months into it, they're not making their company any money. So you learn how to calculate total recurring costs, do simulation under best and worst case scenarios. This is very, very popular. Most companies want to see this type of analysis where it's not just a single point estimate of what you're going to save them, but under different circumstances, you can analyze how much money you're going to save the company or how big that problem is. You learn how to do a range for how much it's costing the company. This is great because those executives, you can tell them, these are the ranges that we see this problem costing for the next, foreseeable future. Once you have that costed, then you usually get a thumbs up from your management to proceed. And at that point in time, that's when you start collecting a lot of data. So next we need to collect data. You're going to get access to a bunch of different data tables, and you're going to understand the data inside the context of the business problem. So you've got two things. You've got data now, and you've got an understanding of the business. You've costed it. Now you can blend the knowledge that you've gained inside of this next module. So for that, we're going to learn Pandas and SweetViz. So what does this real life project look like? Well, in module 2, data understanding, you're going to be connecting to SQL databases. You're going to be analyzing associations within that database. You're going to be making full exploratory report in just one line of code. And I show you how to do this with SweetViz. You're going to be learning how to gain insights. So this is really powerful, because if you see this chart here, what this means is, and this is just one of the features that, and we're relating it to made purchase, but we can see here, if this feature is a 5, they are 14% likely to make a purchase. But if it's just a 2, they are only 3% likely. So there is right there a 5x lift from that single feature. Okay. You learn how to gain insights, and you learn how to then take that to the next step and pre-process it and get it ready for machine learning. So that's what we do in the next stage, module 3, data pipeline. So you're going to learn how to work with special engineered features like date features, text features, rate and interaction features, one-to-many features. And you're going to then take the same process, that SweetViz report, but we're going to expand it now. And we're going to do it for all of these features. And this is really cool, because you're going to make an expanded exploratory report, and just one of those features that you've now added to your model gets you a 29x lift, meaning that person is 29 times more likely to make a purchase if they have this feature present in them. Okay. Imagine being able to go back to management and say, hey, I found a feature in our data that tells us that this person is 29 times more likely to buy. Okay. Now that we have really good features, you're ready to do the actual machine learning process. And this is where we start to move into that predictive analytics. For that, we have module 4, machine learning with PyQuant. Okay. PyQuant is an amazing package. It's a low-code machine learning library that eliminates the need to write thousands and thousands of machine learning code. So you no longer do you have to write thousands of lines of scikit-learn code. You can use this package called PyQuant. Okay. So inside with PyQuant, you discover how to access 19 modeling algorithms, including XGBoost, LightGBM, CatBoost. You learn how to perform machine learning and then rank the models. So those 19 models, you're going to rank them by the best performance. Okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to discover how to tune those models. And what that does, that's important because you need to be able to stabilize your model performance, and you can also increase your performance when you tune. Then you learn how to pick the right model. Okay. So it's not always the most accurate, but it's also the most stable. So you need to learn how to pick that model correctly. Then you learn how to find the most important features of your model. From that analysis, this is what we call explainable machine learning. You're going to be able to analyze different features, and you're going to be able to understand why this customer is more likely to buy with these things called SHAP plots. Then you learn how to rank customers by their probability of purchasing, and this is what we call lead scoring. And then I actually, as I was building this course, I surveyed my students in our Slack channel. It's our private community. I asked them, I was like, hey, which Python modeling libraries do you want to learn in addition to PyQuant? And unanimously, they asked me to teach them 2 more packages. They wanted to learn scikit-learn because that's what a lot of companies use. And they also wanted to learn this other tool called H2O. Okay, so I'll explain what that is in a second. So what I did was I added module 5, advanced machine learning with H2O and scikit-learn. Inside, first you learn scikit-learn. And this is the most popular machine learning library in the Python ecosystem. In fact, it's actually the library that, shockingly enough, PyQuant leverages. So inside of PyQuant, they actually use scikit-learn. So inside of this module, what you discover is how to create scikit-learn pipelines from scratch. You learn how to tune them using grid search. And then next, what we do is I teach you H2O. So H2O AI, this is a scalable machine learning algorithm optimized for performance on large data sets. Okay, so let me explain. This is the secret to making literally hundreds of machine learning models in minutes. And you discover that just in this module. You learn how to pick the best one. And then once you have that, now it's ready to move into what's called lifecycle management. And for that, I have ML Flow. Okay. So now that we have a bunch of machine learning models, what we want to do is we want to store them in this powerful tool, and it's called ML Flow. It's a tool for managing the model experimentation and lifecycle. And you get that for free with PyQuant. So it actually comes with PyQuant. So inside of this module, what you do is you learn how to explore the PyQuant experimentation log. You learn how to access specific models that you have performed in your experiments. You also learn how to log advanced models like H2O. So once you move outside of PyQuant into scikit-learn or H2O, I teach you how to log those models and do pretty much the same process that PyQuant uses. Okay. You learn how to access the H2O leaderboard and also get the leader model. Once you have all of that machine learning stuff done, so that's exciting, that's great, but now what we need to do is we need to take it a step further. And this is what every company wants. They want return on investment. So I teach you how to do that. So with 3 full modules of machine learning complete, we're now ready for analyzing the business value. And for that, we have module 7 ROI. So in module 7, we first analyze just a basic return on investment. We calculate a monthly increase with the default parameters of about $237,000 in sales, okay? And we determine an optimized ROI then. So we optimize some of the parameters and we find that we can save them $311,000, which is about $3.7 million per year, okay? And then what we do is we seek to strike a balance. So there's a trade-off between monthly sales and nurturing customers, and we target 90% of the potential customers with sales emails, and this is projected to yield an additional $67,000 in sales and nurtured sales per month, okay? We then label the list to make it easy for our marketing department. So we split it into hot leads and cold leads. and that makes segmentation super easy for your marketing team. Okay, so this strategy is expected to generate an additional $3.6 million in sales in just the first year, and that's what companies want to hear. Okay, so generally at this point in the process, what you're going to do is you're going to have a meeting with management, discuss the results, show them that there's a massive return on investment. They're unanimously going to give you a thumbs up to proceed, and that's when you start developing the back end. With their approval, you're now ready to move into production. So what you want to do is you want to create a production ready API with Fast API. That's what I teach you how to do next. So in module 8, you learn Fast API. It's a modern high performance web framework for building APIs that can be used to connect applications in the enterprise. So you'll start by making an API that can run on a server. You'll create both GET and POST endpoints, and then you'll write code to communicate with the API and run the machine learning model behind the scenes on the server, and then collect the lead scoring strategy and return the results. And then what you're going to do is you're going to additionally add on a security layer. Okay, and this requires the user to authenticate with an API key, which is a requirement for any serious enterprise. They're going to want some level of security, especially if you're doing this stuff yourself. And then now that the API backend is created, we have one more step. We're going to use a package called Streamlit, and we're going to develop the front end app that our marketing team uses to make them more money. So for that, we have module 9, you learn Streamlit. It's a low code web application framework. So in module 9, you're going to develop that Streamlit app. You're first going to add a functionality for file upload. So that way their marketing team can just take their CSV, from their database and just upload the email list. And then that's where the process kicks off and your analytics process takes over. Okay. So they upload the email list. We then allow them to customize the lead scoring strategy. And this is super simple. All they do is figure out how many people they want to target and how much sales they're willing to give up in that first month in order to get more the next month. Okay. Then the users get this nice curve, and this allows us to see if they want to possibly move that threshold a little bit lower in order to pick up more sales in the following month. But if everything looks okay, then they're able to download that lead scoring strategy, and it comes to them right in a CSV file. They can open it up in Excel, and bada bing, bada boom, they have exactly what they need to do their part of the process. Okay. And then here's what the final app looks like. So imagine having something like this to showcase in your job portfolio. That'd be pretty sick, right? Being able to walk them through this process in an interview or on the job, or actually being able to start first day on that new job and coming to them with this, brand spanking new Streamlit app that can save them a lot of money. So to recap, this project in the second course, it follows 9 modules that virtually eliminates the chance for project failure. And that's the key, guys, because remember, 87% of projects fail. However, if you do the process like this, you virtually eliminate the error, the prospect of that project failing. It's the same workflow that I've used to increase my consulting company's projects. Our success rate is up to 100%, and you get it in this course. Now, one thing you might be saying is, won't this take me a long time, Matt? Come on, this is 9 modules to get to the end, right? Well, in this course, I've actually included a jumpstart. So it just takes 45 minutes, and you learn the PyQuant basics of machine learning. You also learn how to get a respectable accuracy and set up a basic API. And the best part, you do this in only 45 minutes. It's pretty sick. So here's what Jonathan Regenstein, the guy that was just on from Streamlit, the master himself, here's what he said after beta testing the Jumpstart module. He says, "Incredible what we can do with less than 100 lines of code. Can't wait for the rest of the course. Let's rock." He loved it. So for comparison purposes, what I've done is I've taken my ARC courses, so my Data Science for Business Part 2, which is where I teach business problem solving, and my Shiny Web Apps Part 1 course, which is where I teach how to do basic web apps for design for your job portfolios, and I've blended them into this course. So that is the key here, guys. You're basically getting 2 courses for the price of 1. So guys, today you're getting Python for data science automation, my Python for machine learning and APIs course, a total value of $1,694. Now, the next question I always get is, well, Matt, what about portfolio projects? Well, I'm going to give you a head start. I'm going to give you 3 amazing apps to help you stand out. Now, these apps are killer, all right? We use a different framework. So we've been talking a lot about Streamlit, but when you want to go to an app that is more, we'll say a bigger app, has more tabs, has lots of stuff going on, what I recommend is this framework called Shiny. Traditionally, it's always been available in R for the past 10 years, never in Python up until about 2 years ago. Okay, so Shiny for Python is now available, and I'm going to give you 3 Shiny for Python apps. The first one, this applies the same techniques that you learned from in the course to a different type of problem in finance called loan default scoring. And what this does is it helps prevent financial companies to prevent them from issuing bad loans, which is like a $10 million cost to big banks. Okay, so you get that app. All right, so here's what you're getting: Python for data science automation, my machine learning and APIs course, and app number 1 is the first bonus. It's my loan default scoring app, total value of $6,694. Next, you're getting an application that's designed to help HR analytics. So the second app applies the same formula learned in the course to an HR analytics project. So you're getting Python for data science automation today, my Python for machine learning APIs, my app 1, which is the loan default scoring app, and app 2, which is now the employee attrition scoring app, total value $11,694. But I'm not done. And I know you guys came here for time series, so I can't let you leave here without getting some time series. Am I right? So the third app does something special. We're going to take the same techniques that you learned in the course for classification, but we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to teach you how to do regression for time series. So we're actually going to allow you to do what's called on-demand forecasting, which is where this app will actually do a forecast. When it doesn't know, what time series that company is going to pick, you pick it, and then you click submit, and it'll produce the forecast for it. So it's a huge demand area. This one actually took me over a week to develop. So this one's, it's killer. So to recap, you're getting 3 Python apps that contain over 2,000 lines of additional code. Here's the code bases, everything that you need to replicate my exact steps. So you're getting Python for data science automation, my machine learning APIs, my app 1 my loan default scoring, my app 2 employee attrition scoring, and app 3 the time series app, time series forecasting. Total value $16,694. Now, to reward these fast action takers, I want to give you some additional help. The first 10, and I only have 10 spots open over the next couple of weeks, is going to get everything listed above. Plus, you're going to get a one-on-one personal coaching call with me where I can help mentor you and I can coach you. But I first want to help you. I want to help you understand why this coaching call is important. So let me introduce you to Samantha. She used her one-on-one coaching call to get through the 3rd round of the CVS Pharmacy data science interview. And this is honestly, guys, when the competition is the highest, you're in the last round and you're up against 1 or 2 more people. And those people are really good. So you really got to stand out. We helped craft a interview that just blew them away. She says, I got the job. Here she is in my Slack channel. Happy to announce I got the job, and I truly want to thank this course and channel for motivation. She's now a data engineer at CVS Health. Okay. So recap, guys. Here's what you're getting today: Python for data science automation, Python for machine learning and APIs, my app 1, my loan default scoring app, app 2, my employee attrition scoring app, app 3, my time series forecasting app, and the first 10 of you guys that take up this offer, take me up, is getting a one-on-one coaching call with me. Total value, $17,691. Now, if you were to buy this on my website, it would really add up to $17,691. But listen, I understand that might be a lot of money for some people, even though it's worth every penny. So instead of paying $17,691 today, guys, I'm going to give you a 95% discount. So instead of paying $17,691, you guys are getting everything listed here today, guys, for $799. Now, the last time I announced a sale like this, it sold out the first day. So it goes quick and you got to be ready. But for those of you who want to become a business scientist with Python, are you ready to change your life? All right, ready? On 3, 2, 1. Here we go. I'm going to put the link in the chat, guys. We have 30 minutes on the clock. I'm going to go through some Q&A here. But first, let me walk you through what this thing looks like. So here, let me put the link in the chat. Okay, so I just put the link in the chat, guys. Again, first 10, you guys are going to get the coaching call. After the 10 go, we're going to take coaching calls away. The other thing, so I want to walk you through what the process looks like and what happens. So this is the link that I just put into the chat. And as you can see here, it does end Friday, October 20th at 3 p.m. So that's this Friday. You can see here what you're getting, as we had discussed, the 2 courses, the 3 Shiny for Python apps. Also, the first 10 of you guys are going to get that coaching call where you can use me as your mentor. So if you have any questions, if you need help with your career, if you need help with a data science project, if you need help with anything, you can use that project or that coaching call. It never expires, so you can use it when you need it the most. All right. Again, total value $17,000. You're going to get this for $799. And I'll be honest, guys, just these 2 courses, every day we have people buying them full price on our website. So you're going to get them based, you're getting this course plus all of this for not $90.97. You're getting it for $799. That's a massive, massive break. So what you're going to do, you're going to put your full name in here and your email address. We need those 2 items because that's going to link you up inside of our business science platform. So you're going to get instant access to that platform. We need the phone number. If you ever have any support issues, problem setting anything up, getting the notorious Python environment, running into those issues, we can hop on a call with you. We can help you get that fixed. There are 2 different payment options. Okay. So the first one is the best. It's the $799. You get $500 off basically of the was $12.99, now $7.99. Plus you're getting the 4 bonuses valued at thousands and thousands of dollars. If you want Learning Labs Pro, so this webinar, what I do is I hold workshops every week, or sometimes every 2 weeks. And we do at least 1 new learning lab every month. Okay. Those come with code. Those come with a video. You get slide deck. And what we do is we put those in this thing called Learning Labs Pro. If you want to become a member and get access to over 85 labs that are existing currently, you get instant access to all of those, plus all of the new labs as I release them once a month. All you do is leave this thing checked. If you don't want that, perfectly fine. Just uncheck it. And you can see that it gets removed from your order summary down here. Okay. So the other payment option too is we do have a $199, but that's 6 payments. So you're going to end up paying $1,200. So this payment plan is the single payment plan is definitely more beneficial. But for those of you who want to space this out over time, we do have this option as well. Note that if you do this option, you can't do Learning Labs Pro. So you have to take that off. Otherwise, your order will not be able to be submitted. Okay. So I'm going to leave it as the full price and Learning Labs Pro. Then you just put your information in. Once you click the complete the order button, then what happens next is you get a sequence of emails and we actually, the server processes. So give it like 1 to 2 minutes to process. But what will happen is it will establish you as a new student, give you access to all the courses. You'll start to get the emails and that will invite you to the platform. The platform looks like this. So you're going to get access to this first course, you're going to get access to the second course, and you're going to get access to the 3 Shiny for Python apps. Now, about the coaching call, if you win one of those, I will let you guys know as soon as the sale ends who has won those. I'm not going to let you guys know beforehand, so don't ask me. Okay, I'm going to put the link in the chat one more time, and then what we're going to do is answer some questions. I do want to show you too what these courses look like on the inside. So you can see the amount of content. And also, I don't know if there's still some of my students on this call, but you can validate how much quality education and, how this course is just, night and day versus the other stuff that's out there. So you can see how much how little this thing is. This is what a course looks like. How many, literally, it's probably 300 videos. Now, what I do something sneaky. I make them only like 2 minutes long each one. I split them up, and that's to help you digest this stuff. And it also makes it easy to get back in here. I find that my students complete probably 5 to 10x more, are likely to complete the courses versus other courses that are out there, just because of having the smaller bite-sized modules. Plus, I think, I may be a little biased, but solving actual problems is the way to go. So you can see lots of modules. We're just, we're down here. We've already passed 40 videos, 50 videos, and we're just now into module 2, getting into the deep dive in module 3. So this is what the courses look like. Just a real quick, I'll click on one of these, random modules. This is what the this is what the actual videos look like. You can see it's line by line coding in VS Code. So you learn how to get, actually do data science the way that Jonathan and I do data science, the way that we, are building professional software. You're learning the exact same way that we do it. Okay. The other thing too, I failed to mention, I always forget this. You also get access to the Slack channel. So through that email sequence, you're going to get access to my entire community of people. And this is how this is a way to get support. If you ever run into any issues, if you ever need guidance, we have literally 3,197 students in here right now. And we have even the Pytimetk development team. You can see we only have 14 students in here, but these are all the guys. I mean, you can see here just 1:05 p.m., 12:48 p.m., 12:20. We're working, we're doing stuff. So yeah, you get access to all of this. If you ever have any questions, you just put your questions in here. We get them answered. I'm having trouble to get my environment set up on Mac Mini M2. This is Stacy Ash. Just on October 14th, I worked with her and we got that all set up. So this is the value of the program. It's virtually everything you need in order to be successful. That's what it's about. And we want to make you more money. Jason and I are here to answer your questions. So I'm happy to take questions now. I will put the link in one more time in the chat. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, Dave says, man, I wish I could afford this. This is really standout. Yeah, we put a lot of time into developing this system. I can't tell you, each one of these courses takes me like 6 months to 12 months to put together. It's a lot, but it really is a solid program. And that's what we find is needed. And that's the differentiator that helps you get that data science job. If you've been struggling with Python in the past, I know so many data scientists that have been 3 years and still they see their business problem and they can't, they don't know how to proceed with it. So this is the system that can help. Okay, do you have the course forever? So this is Charles Smith asking. Yes, you do get lifetime access to everything you see here, plus the coaching call. You can use that whenever you want. So it doesn't have to be used right away. If you want to use it 3 months, 6 months down the line, you can use it then. All right, so Kunal asks, and this might be a good one for Jason, quant science, is that domain specific for finance trading?
Yes.
Yes.
It goes very deep into using Python programming to determine what you should trade, why you should trade it, and then actually executing those trades in the market.
Good answer. Good answer. Yeah, we're applying a lot of the same principles from business science to the quant trading. But Jason is the expert. He is the face of that. And I'm helping out with, building out the system and applying the same, framework that we use to make this, these courses such a success. We're applying those to that system as well. So that's what we're doing at Quant Science. Algorithmic trading, if you want to be a 5-figure, day trader, part-time trader, it's a good course for you or a good program for you. If you want to become a hedge fund quant scientist there, it's the only program that offers that.
Yep. Yeah, that's what hedge funds are after these days as a quant scientist. So gone are the days where they can afford to pay 6 figures for a math person, 6 figures for a developer, 6 figures for a trader. They want the so-called white rhino, which is that trifecta. It's the combination of all three. And that's what we teach. And
it's the same thing with business science too. So business science, we're finding that data science team, these 10 plus person data science teams, those are going out. They're actually, companies, you've seen the headlines, they're getting rid of the people who's just like just a theory expert or an algorithms person. Like they want that whole package that can go from, this is a business problem. This is the solution. This is how I deploy it. I can do it myself. I don't need to, bug IT and get on their priority listing, which never happens. They never actually like make it up high enough to even get their project put into production. So they want people who can do this all themselves. Okay, let's see. Equi asks, access is forever. Course would definitely take a few weeks, if not months. So in terms of timing, each one of these courses, there's about 30 to 40 hours of content in each one. So if you do 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week, you can usually knock out a course in every 6 weeks or so. So figure 3 months for both courses. But obviously if you go faster, if you can put like 15 hours a week, they are designed for the working professional. So if you have a day job, which is, most of my students have day jobs. And if you're looking to do a data science transition, or if you're looking to get your first data science job, you can take these in parallel with having a job. Okay. Do I have any option to buy only the Python API course? I already have Python 1. Kunal, do me a favor, just email me. We'll have to do some analysis, but my wife will handle that for you. So just shoot me an email, Kunal. Okay. All right. How much will quant science course cost? We don't have information on that yet. So we will price that for the market, and that'll be coming in 2024. Any updates to the course included in the lifetime offer? So I just released the API portion here just a week ago, and the Streamlit portion is coming next week. So all of that's brand new, right off of the editing room press, and it's good. It's really good. All right. Let's see. Okay, I see Elay Sloss, you just bought the Python bundle for this price a few days ago. Is it possible to get the bonuses? Shoot me an email, Elay. So I'll put my email in here one more time. Shoot me an email. If you just bought it a few days ago, we can help you out. All that new stuff will be included in this. Yeah, all the new stuff, any new stuff that we come out with, all the bonuses, you get all of that when you purchase this. So example, Elay Sloss just purchased the bundle off the website. Okay, didn't get any of these 3 apps, didn't get the coaching call. So if you buy this bundle, this is a special offering. Okay, it's only available to the coaching call is only available for the first 10. The bonuses after Friday, they go away. Okay. So, this is, we wanted to do something special for you. We know you guys came here for time series, but we also wanted, for those of you who want to become a business scientist, for those of you who want to make more money and honestly, improve your career, improve your life situation, we wanted to give you guys something special. So this is what we're prepared to do. It is a massive benefit. who now asks, hi, Matt, do you have any plans to create a Python ecosystem like we have for model time in R and other packages? So that's what we're kind of doing with PyTimeTK. So for those of you guys who aren't familiar, we also have TimeTK in R. So TimeTK R package. This is the R package here. And it's got a ton of functionality in there too. So a lot of these like plot time series, but it's got even more plotting utilities and so on. This is the first. We're giving it a go with PyTimeTK, and we want to see how the community adopts it and make sure that there's a need for this stuff. But it does certainly appear that there is, especially, you heard Saran and Jonathan. You heard them talking about it, like took hundreds of lines of code and consolidated it into just, maybe 15 or 20 lines. So that's what we want to try and be able to do. Just so you know, this package TimeTK, it took like 2 years to develop though. So it's going to be a work in progress. I'm not sure how fast we can come through it, even with students. And also we have to assess whether or not like something like model time's even needed. I don't know that yet. Okay. So we're going to take it one step at a time though. So we got the R package there. You guys now have seen a little bit of what we have coming with the PyTimeTK package in Python. Okay, so I'm probably going to butcher her name. I apologize, but Leah Quat Hussein asks, what advice would you give who has made the transformation from another industry and not able to land a data science job? Okay. So, it can be heartbreaking. I mean, it can be really frustrating getting that first rejection, second rejection, third rejection. And what I do say is, if the toughest part is conveying it through the interview, what your value is to a company. What companies are looking for, again, they don't want skills, they want processes. So you have to be able to demonstrate that you have a process. Just for example, in the second course here, this Python for Machine Learning and APIs, that course teaches you my business science problem framework. What is that framework? That is my data science process. So you saw a little bit of my process here, but this breaks it down specifically for business problems to step by step, every step of the way, who you need to get involved, how to cost that problem. And you actually work through that in the second course. So that's why it's really important to be able to go to an interview and show them, hey, this is my process. Like actually print it out, show them, this is what I can do for your company. This is, if you, give me a problem that you're having, this is what I would do. And this is how I would take that problem through this process. You demonstrate that in the interview, it's at least going to get you into that third round. And then in that third round, that's where you show off your apps. That's where you show off all the stuff like the time series app that they want to see and that they can't do already. If you can convey that you've got a process, and if you can convey that you can do something that they need but don't have already, you got the job. All right. Michael asked, will I ever have a Python version of the high performance time series course? We may head that direction, but it's not going to be immediate. The next course in the pipeline is actually the cloud computing course. So being able to put things into production, being able to do calculations in the cloud. We want to showcase how to work with AWS, Azure, and GCP, and then maybe also Snowflake as well. I got to talk with those guys. But that's the next step. And then after that, it could be time series, but we'll just have to see. All right. Jasper asks, how would you recommend getting started for someone interested in quant finance with an understanding of Python and basic stats courses? What projects would you recommend building, etc.? I'm going to kick this over to you, Jason. What do you think there? I'm looking at Jasper's question. I can reread it too if you'd like.
Nope, I got it. Well, the thing I always say is that you have to start with a problem to be solved. So Matt talks a lot about in his business science courses that companies hire people that can solve problems and that a process is to solve those problems. I mean, any of these kind of quantitative industries, including data science, including quantitative trading and algorithmic trading, it's just a complete overwhelm of information. So the first thing I always say is to start with a very specific problem in mind, and then work backwards in solving that problem with the tools that you need, and only use the tools that you need to solve that problem. So, we heard from two industry experts that probably have like very advanced degrees in the underlying theory and mathematics behind all of these things. I would argue you don't need a lot of that to make progress with these as tools. These are tools to accomplish a goal. These are tools to do that, exactly that. And whatever that goal is, defines what tools that you need. So like, if you're just getting started, always define what goal you're trying to solve. So quant finance is a massive field, and you could get completely lost. So if it's pricing derivatives, get specific in that, and then figure out what in derivatives that you want to price. Build yourself a process like what Matt has described in this webinar, in this educational series here. Make sure that you're connecting yourself with a really strong network that has experience doing this, like with the Slack channels and what we're going to offer in quant science. And like, this isn't a pitch, what I'm about to say, but take courses like what Matt's offering. Take the quant scientist course, because this is the fastest way to get this type of very refined, very specific education in this content, and learn exactly what you need. So as far as the courses and projects, I mean, Matt offers a very, very compelling offer here. The quant science will be also a very, very compelling offer, packed with bonuses, packed with value. And that's the name of the game. We just give as much as we possibly can to give you exactly what you need to reach these goals.
Yeah, and just to add to what Jason's saying, the only thing that I would add in addition to that is the value of the community. A lot of times people don't really understand, or maybe they understand it, but they only look at like, okay, Matt's offering, a course here, and some apps, which, don't get me wrong, that's an amazing value. But the real thing too is if you get involved in something like this, the community, and being able to learn from the industry veterans. So like Jason on the quant science space, or me on the business science space, being able to get involved in some of these community projects that we have. So like Pytimetk, 14 signed up for it. We now have 6 core members, and these guys are literally, writing the future of time series in Python. And that's really cool. And that's not only is that valuable for everybody that's going to use the software, but it's valuable for them because now they get experience on a team project. They get something that they can walk into an interview and they can say, hey, I did something pretty cool. I worked on this software package that is used by millions and millions of people. Like, that's impressive. You walk into somewhere and you immediately have street cred, and you have an example of working in a data science team, remotely, where you're testing code and building code. So I think that's a big value. So I would add that whether you're learning how to trade, you need that mentorship, and we have that, and we're going to have that through our system with Quant Science. Whether you're learning how to do data science problems for business, we have that same type of community to really help you foster and be a success. Okay. All right. So Kunal says, I'm confused. I already hold the high performance time series course, and now companies are asking for Python programmers. Is it time to migrate from R to Python? Also, if you have the Python courses in your pipeline, then it would also help me make a decision. So Kunal, what I would say is, when it comes to R or Python or any tool out there, the company is going to pay you to get that result. So if you could do it with R, and you've got the high performance time series course, and you've got model time at your fingertips, model time's not available in Python. I still have to explore the Python ecosystem more. I know that Nixtla has some really good stuff out there with a stats forecast, but at this point, I think that's more for like ARIMA and exponential smoothing and some of those things. It's not necessarily the global forecasting. So I would say, you got the courses already. I would take those at least until we, if we ever build a Pi model time. I can tell you every data scientist that has that course, that like there's so many of them that have gotten jobs just because of that high performance time series course. So I just spoke with one 2 weeks ago. He's in New York. He has a job at a startup. They hired him because of that time series course. First thing we got on the coaching call, and he was like, "Yeah, that course got me the job." I was like, "Fantastic! Had no clue. Like, that's awesome. That's great for you." I was on a call this week with a gentleman by the name of Alex Labuda. He was, let's see. Yeah, let me see. We were working through this, a project that he had sent me, and he wanted to jump on a coaching call, talk through that project. What was he doing? He was using all of my time series stuff for that. And it was all in R. So get the result for your company, whether it's Python, whether it's R, doesn't matter to me. Don't be confused. If you've got the course, and it's a fantastic course. It's gotten so many people jobs. I go off of track records. That course is probably the #1 course for getting people jobs at high performance. Jeanette's on this call. I got her the job. I got her the job up in Bank of Canada, I believe. And she says, yes. Yeah, so Jeanette has a really crazy story. So she got the job at Bank of Canada inside of a Python team because she showed them that she knew model time and Shiny, R Shiny. Are you still doing, Jeanette, are you still doing the R Shiny work? Yeah, okay, a lot. Yeah, she's doing a lot of it. Yeah, so I mean, she has her story, I've never heard of this before. She got promoted in the interview. So they were looking for, I think, a junior data scientist or maybe an entry-level data scientist. And they actually saw what she could offer because of some of the coursework and because she, you must have done a great job selling yourself too, Jeanette, because this was amazing. But like she actually got a higher position. Yep, there you go. Yeah, so Kunal, yeah, don't ever feel confused. And I'm glad that you brought that up. Okay, we're gonna be wrapping it up here soon. I do want to quickly check. We may have time for another 1 or 2 questions. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we have 4 spots left for coaching right now. So if you want those, are probably going to be going pretty quickly here. I am going to be sending out a few emails throughout the rest of the week, so they'll probably be gone here pretty quick. I'll put the link in one more time if you guys want them. I don't want you to feel bad if you miss out on a coaching spot. So the link is in the chat. We have time for 2 more questions. What questions do you have, guys, about anything that we covered? Pytimetk, about the offer, about anything we got going on with quant science? You have access to me and you have access to Jason, which is not normal. Jeanette, yeah, you bought the course. Okay, and you get a coaching call too, Jeanette, out of that. So I'm excited for you. Okay, you want to get ahead of your rest of your team. We're going to do it. You're going to be not only the Rockstar R programmer, but you're going to be the Rockstar Python programmer. All right, Jasper asks, any book or other courses recommended while waiting for the quant science course? Ooh, that's a good one. Jason, what do you think?
Well, I don't know, Matt. Should I bring up the PyQuant news course?
You can, yeah, feel free. Go for it.
Okay. All right, cool. So I'm the founder of PyQuant News, and I do offer a course. Matt and I are course people. So I do take people from more beginner to intermediate level. So if you're just getting started with quant finance and algorithmic trading or just getting started with Python, this is a great opportunity to get plugged in. It's 30-day cohort-based course. You get a community attached to it. And that's a great way to start. So the quant science stuff is meant to be a very good complement to the PyQuant news course. Quant science will be a little bit more from intermediate to advanced level. I will assume some background in Python. I will assume some background in the markets. So maybe you've traded before, or you watch the markets, or you have some education there. So that would be the assumption going in. So if you're just getting started and just from scratch, obviously the PyQuant newsletter is a great way to get a lot of great detail for free. This is a twice weekly newsletter that I write. I send out real quant code, 5 minutes to read, no jargon, very easy to get started with. And then also, obviously, the PyQuant News course that I had just mentioned is also very, very great way to get ready for the quant science work.
Yeah, and I actually took Jason's course. I can vouch for that. You know, I was one of his cohorts. I was in there. I took it. Fantastic. So that's actually how we got linked up. Is I took that course and I was like, man, I gotta talk to you about doing something together.
Yeah, and I dropped the link in for the newsletter, and then I'll drop the link in for the course. And thanks, Matt, for letting me talk about that.
Yeah, go for it. I'm gonna buzzer going. Let me pause this. All right, our 30 minutes is now up. I am going to put the link in one more time, and then for all of you who want access to the code, I'm going to give you guys access to that next. So here I've got my little link here. Copy that link address. I'm going to pop this into the chat. So this is the code on the webinar that you saw today. Now, I do need to ask Jonathan, so his Snowflake code, what I did instead was I gave you the R finance tutorial, which was originally what we were going to go through. So this goes through a financial analysis. It also has the problems with Pandas. So all the stuff that I use to like show, you know, 6 steps versus 2 for loops, if statements at the beginning, you get that code in here too. And then there's an IPython notebook if you want that version of it, of the finance. I do want to get, hopefully, Jonathan's going to give me access to his Snowflake stuff, and I'd like to add that in here as well. But I think there's a little bit of translation because they were just linking up to their Snowflake stuff. So you guys all have access to that now. All right. Anything else before we hop off the call? Any other questions last minute? All right, hearing nothing, I am going to close this thing down. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you spending some time on your Tuesday afternoon. I appreciate you. Thanks again, Jason, for tuning in. Really appreciate you being on here and talking a little bit of quant science stuff. All right, I will see you guys all later. See you.
Cheers, everyone. Bye. Bye, Matt.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.